and gentlemen, welcome to the Murrumbidgee Council staff and the councillors. Welcome to our July 2026 council meeting. We pay respect to the traditional custodians of the lands and waters of the Murrumbidgee local government area and to all Aboriginal. We are committed to honouring the continuing connection that West Australians hold to Murrumbidgee's land, waters and community as one of the oldest living cultures in human history. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, and to ensure this meeting is open to the public, this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed. This recording will be placed on council's website following the meeting. We have a record of all of those present. Offering no apologies, but we do recognise that both Councillor Rob Black and Councillor Faith Rice are live streaming into us here today. I would like to remind all councillors of their pecuniary interest declarations. I have an interest declaration from Councillor Faith Rice regarding in relation to confidential item 8. Are there any other pecuniary interest declarations that need to be brought forward? If not, we'll note that. We'll move to the Mayor's report. Council's 4-day week community consultation and engagement has now concluded. There have been 9 opportunities for our communities to engage with councillors and operational staff to ask questions, air concerns and seek clarification. To date, 20 actively engaged across 3 communities, in addition to questionnaires that have been submitted, 49 in total. General Manager John Scarce will inform the way forward when he delivers his report to Council later on. Council staff are dealing with many extra issues on top of our core business, many meetings with Energy Co, many renewable energy developer interests and round 3 of the Sustainable Communities Program. Energy Co have released 60 million through their CEVP program. This money is to be invested in the Southwest Renewable Energy Zone, which makes it accessible to the 7 LGAs within the REZ and co-located. 44 million is to be available for community programs projects and 16 million or thereabouts for skills training, accessibility and opportunity. The 16 million must speak clearly to renewable energy. Operational staff, general managers and mayors have had many meetings and with a commendable collegiate mindset have arrived at a co-design proposal that will be put before the Energy Co Board and Minister Sharp. The Sustainable Communities Program Round 3 is open for application. Council's Darlington Point Caravan and Tourist Park project is being reworked with a much heavier input following feedback after Round 2's unsuccessful application. This round is also open to community opportunity. It is my unequivocal expectation that Murrumbidgee local government area will successfully attract a worthy contribution on the round. Ongoing advocacy around water buybacks and its very tangible impacts continues to sit highly on our radar. The Murray-Darling Basin Plan Review has been seen to be lacking in any credible alteration or consideration to the thousands of concerns identified. The Murray-Darling Association is gearing up for a renewed campaign that our council will be actively engaged in. So too will Ramjo. Finally, we appear to be getting some real traction on the purchase of the MLHD land for the the Murrumbidgee Medical Centre. General Manager John Scarce and I met with Carla Bailey from MLHD and Peter Davies, who we've been working through, and things appear to be progressing to the required channels. I know I have said that on repeat for 2 years, but I do firmly believe that we are almost across the line. On the 7th of July, Council was visited by the Auditor General Bowler. I can't pronounce his other name. General Manager John Scarce, CFO Caitlin Salisbury and I had the opportunity to converse honestly and openly on the challenges facing local government, some of which included our financial sustainability, the continuing advocacy around the financial assistance grants and its methodology, its allocation and the time and what percentage of payments are made, the impacts for council's reporting, which will impact on council's reporting. Also discussed were ARICs at both LGA and JO levels, red fleet removal from council's books, the processes around grant-funded opportunities, the onerous burden of increased complexity reporting, It was a productive meeting with a gentleman that Doug listened when we had the opportunity to speak with him in person. Murrumbidgee Council is conducting a postcard competition that is open to all of our school-age children. The criteria can either be drawn or photographed, and it must be something that makes living where you live the best place to be. The council had the opportunity to visit some of the schools in the LGA prior to holidays to speak with the children at the competition and encourage lots of entry. Every school was given the opportunity to have us visit them, but only 2 of the schools took up that opportunity. On the 21st of July, I had the privilege of conferring citizenship on 7 of Murrumbidgee Council's residents. For now, Hiko from Darlington Point received her citizenship, speaking warmly about where she lives and Nora receiving her formal recognition. And 6 members of the Mabulac family were conferred: Dennis, Gabrielle, Ellen, Kylie, Anna and Shem. It was an honour to officially welcome valued members of our Collie, Amberley and Darlington Point communities. I wish them happy and productive lives, living and contributing to this Australian way of life. And below is a list of meetings I've attended since the last council meeting. Are there any questions? Councillor Major.
Yeah, so in regards to the Energy Code funding, so there's that 16 million that seems to be, or it says it's got to be clearly to renewable energy. Can you expand on that a little bit more? Because we're about to consider spending $250,000 of our own money on renewable, as in solar systems. So I'm just trying to get a feel. Should we hold off if we're going to? So
well, that 15.6 million is earmarked for skills and education/training. So it's not actually for hardware. It is for the opportunity to gain skills that should align with renewable energy. Now, it may well be apprenticeships. It may well be a training hub for our early learning centre. It may well be, and you could align that with its redevelopment and the use of solar or whatever on our new buildings or whatever. Just has to speak very clearly to a renewable energy link. There's not a lot of definition around it, but that was clearly stated.
solar panels on here are linked to renewable.
Yeah, so and so it's an education component of it. That's 15.6. The other 44 million we can do.
And it's really challenging because when you're a small group, it's your opportunity to engage in those training and upskilling opportunities. Around you. But our focus at the table during these discussions was, well, the money has to be spent and the investment has to be in the people in our LGAs, not, you can't just give 15 million to Charles Sturt University or to a TAFE or something like that. Now, some of our councils in the South West Renewable Energy Zone have university campuses, like Hay, and there's one proposed for the Northland. So they may well have an opportunity to initiate skills training or education through them. Country university campuses, CECs, yeah.
But the venue can be used for bricks and mortar as well. So it could actually build the university
campus.
distance campus there.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
so what we did was, as the 7 councillors sitting at the table, we took literally the minister's words, which were, we want you to co-design this with us, which was an exercise in working collaboratively with our councils, neighbouring councils. So we, in our system, apportioned the 44 million and sent that letter off to the minister. Now, to date, we have not heard back yet. So whether they think our method of co-design is acceptable or they're just going to come out and say, no, this is how we're doing it, which is a bit how the renewable energy allocations roll out. But at least we've had an opportunity to use our thinking, and we worked backwards, and we were looking at who are the councils that are most heavily impacted, and an allocation of money greater than went to the 3 most heavily impacted councils, and then we worked our way down from there.
And the timing of this funding, that's unknown at this stage.
Yeah, they haven't given us a timeline to go to.
They're coming around.
They're coming to speak to us.
So next council meeting, we have them for an hour and a half, and then they're going off. They're going to Hay, and they're going to the Delta, and then they're meeting with all others. There's open community sessions here at the hall, with Collie Amberley, at Dillinelton, and at Hay, and then which is an information session where they can a presentation, and then at the other more remote towns to the renewable energies, being Darlington Point, Balreynolds, Wentworth, and Murray River, Moama, or whatever. They'll have sessions there, just pop-up sessions or pop-up stalls or whatever it is, for people to go around and ask questions about what it is. But they're trying to do this consultation to determine how they're going to split up this money. So that's what they're doing. So we're pushing for that to be happening quicker rather than anything else, but probably by September, we may have an answer for what they're proposing to do. You can look up on the websites or whatever it is, or I might have even sent you the documentation from there. That Central West Arana, whatever the amount was, they allocated 64% of that to the 4 affected ones, and then they cut the other 36% up into a thing that everybody can go after, and then some that only certain people can go after. Right? It's a contestable and non-contestable. So in our approach to the 44 million, we've said 40 million being uncontestable and 4 million being contestable with approach.
Thanks. We've had 3 meetings now, and I'd like to think that we're being listened to. I do have some concerns about them visiting each council individually and throwing out the hard workshop work we've already done. But council needs to be prepared when they come to speak to us, so that we have some very defined projects, and we have a way forward with them. So that's where that's at the moment. Yeah. It's a initially when they rolled out the 60 million, it was all one pool. Then they came back and they took 15.6 million off the top for their skills and education training. Yeah. I'd like to move that the Mayor's report be noted. Councillor Storm, secondly Councillor Turkey. Those in favour, please say aye. Carried. Apparently I skipped an important energy. Okay. Would somebody like to move that the minutes from the previous council meeting on the 30th of June be true and accurate record? Can we move those? Move Councillor Turgeon, second Councillor Kirby. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Okay, we might move to item number 1, please.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Just a couple of small items. The Darlington Point Preschool and Long Day Care Centre. We're just waiting for that building to be demolished. We've had the assessments of the asbestos. There's asbestos needs to be taken away, and then more building needs to be demolished, and then the next lot of asbestos needs to be taken away. So we actually asked for a price from the asbestos removers just to do the whole lot, to do it in. And the last time I spoke to Heidi, I haven't got that back yet. The contracts have been signed. The steering committee, well, it should have had its first meeting, but it hasn't. In relation to the things that we can do. So when we spoke to them and we signed the contracts, they've given us their bank guarantees in accordance with the contracts. We have to. I asked them to write down all of the questions of everything we can have influence in, so that the steering committee can have a chat about to do that. I've asked them to review the entire build again and tell us where we potentially could have savings and how we achieve those savings going forward. And so I asked them to do that. So they probably haven't had enough time before of getting that done before to date. So that's progressing along. Part of the conversation that we're going to have is that the $4.4 million, I'll just round up the numbers of what it's going to cost. And I just wanted to spell out to council how it was going to be funded over the period of time in relation to what money we have set aside for it, which is two batteries. There's about 2.8 million of it. There was, at the last count, there was, I said 600,000 here. I think it was 800,000 in unallocated contribution levy from there, which could use just to start off the first round of payments. You'll see there, I've estimated the payment schedule and the sort of money that will be coming out throughout the whole payment schedule, just so that I could say to council that it is backed by cash. So the cash flow timing has got there, so we're not going backwards at the end of the day. It could be, if we haven't got all the money in by the end of the not next financial year, the financial year afterwards, we might see a dip in our no, cash on hand, but it's unrestricted debt, right? Along those lines. But play all of that by ear, but that's what it's for. And then when the other money comes forward, it can pay it back. The 4-day working week. I've given the statistics there of the engagement, community engagement, and the responses. Once again, very poor responses to our 9 sessions. Very poor responses to our survey. The only thing that I can think of is that the majority of people have no issue with it. Truly don't have any issue with it whatsoever, because otherwise they had all the ability in the world to be able to speak forward. So what I'm actually suggesting is that, and picked up from a lot of conversations with people, elected representatives and staff, is that that we run this for a 15-month period. Why I say 15 months is that we'll evaluate it at the 12-month period. So once the 12 months there, it gives us 3 months to evaluate the data, and within that 3 months, come back and say, has it met everything that we hoped it did? A vote of the staff to see if they want to continue, a vote from the elected representatives to see if they want to continue on that, or have we not hit all those performance measures and everything else like that. So let's go back to the way we were. So during the medical centre, Councillor McRae stole my thunder in relation to the heads of agreement. Except the only other bit I said there is that there is probably 60,000 Medicare buddy numbers out there to try and get all the different scenarios and everything to do that. I'll put my hand up and say I'm out of my depth, and I sort of hope that we might be able to spend some of the $5 million to get a expert in the field to do the financial business case for it and virtually tell us how it can operate and things like that at the end of the day. All sports user agreements in polyamory had been signed. We're only waiting on Darlington Point, and I don't know if that's nobody's telling me an update, so it still hasn't happened. The V-Line bus stop has been given approval to be moved from the unmanned AMPOL to the 24-hour BP. We have submitted the designs to V-Line and just waiting for them to get back to us. Yep. I met with St John's Ambulance. As councillors that are aware, there's a call from the Darlington Point community for an ambulance, right? We have tried many things. Others have tried many things on our behalf, and it's not going to happen. So the only other idea I thought was to speak to St John's Ambulance, and they have a model that would work brilliantly with Darlington Point, right? It's their Norfolk Island model. They've got they have 1.5 employees that come with the ambulance or the ambulances. There's 2 ambulances. There's 1.5 employees, and that's mainly just for redundancy for breaks and holidays and blah 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 and all that sort of stuff. And then they have volunteers that are with them, and they do all the training of the volunteers to get them to EMT or whatever, which is one short of the paramedic, I believe, to be able to assist them and everything else like that. So they work on a model. They can't be on the AAO. They're not sent out under the AAO. But what actually happens is that AAO knows they're there. New South Wales Ambulance knows that they're there. And then as soon as there's an incident, which most likely they would know about the incident a lot earlier before anybody else, because somebody with RFS would probably telling them, hey, we've got an incident out on the highway. And of course they would go straight away, right? They don't go with their lights and sirens, they just go out there. And the basis that they work as the part of the first responder is under the Good Samaritan provisions. So they've got all the skills, they've got all of that. They work there, they work with it. They don't transport anything unless New South Wales Ambulance tells them to transport, right? They work with New South Wales Ambulance. Sometimes they say, yes, transport, don't transport, get extra spots, whatever. Gives all the assessments, and their assessments actually gets the right things out there a lot quicker. Particularly a medevac or anything else like that might need to happen along those lines. So the scenario there is based on the first responder, but you've got qualified paramedics sitting there. You've got hopefully a base of volunteers that want to learn this. They go into the schools, they do everything, and it'd actually be fantastic for young people to get involved in it. And then maybe they could see a career path as well as a paramedic or as a nurse or as a doctor or something else along those lines for them. Now, with everything, there's a cost, but St John's Ambulance is a not-for-profit organisation, right? They live off grants, they live off donations, they live off all the sale of their first aid kits and things like that all go into and they're only a small organisation. They've got 3,500 volunteers, but they're only, as a budget, it's quite small that they run all of this on and things like that. So they are doing up the proposal based on the Norfolk Island proposal that they've got on how much it would cost for such a venture. Until I've got that, we don't know how we would approach that or anything else like that. But yeah, we'll leave that. We'll leave that till then. But it was one of the most positive meetings that I've had. Like a solution there that could actually do it. And like everything, it comes down to money at the end of the day, right? It seems to be the killer or the survivor of everything. The next is the solar savings. We've got some solar savings and things like that. We had 12 sites assessed, and you'll see from the main report that the reason why I chose this building where we are now, it's all rooftop solar. It's one of the biggest savings that we've got there, right? The water treatment plant at Murrumbidgee, it's an array out in the paddock and things like that. We're building a new plant, a water treatment plant and things like that. So indicatively, I spoke to somebody. Since these prices were done, they're more in the estimate of a 100 kilowatt solar array and a 60 kilowatt battery is more along the lines of around about 150 to 160, not 217 now. Solar cells have come down dramatically. It used to be able to do it as $1,000 a kilowatt. Was what you worked it out as a budget. It's down to about 600. Batteries used to be well up high, but they're about $1,000. So that's just the rule of thumb. We may get better, we might get worse. We are eligible for the federal subsidy. We will be eligible for the New South Wales subsidy, which starts out in September. So we hit the market in September. Then we'll have both battery subsidies that we can use to make that even better, and the solar arrays and things like that. So I'm hoping it's going to be more around about the 150 mark rather than the 220 mark for that. And the movements for the rest of the year. It's just any questions? Yeah, you do.
With your proposal for developing an agreement for the 4-day week,
yep,
you propose that the agreement be for a period of 15 months duration, yep, to allow for a review after 12 months.
Yep.
Will there be an opportunity for reporting back to council incrementally about how it's going, like quarterly or something like that?
For sure, we can do that, because some of we may consider that some of the performance measures that we've got in there that we want quarterly, because if we're not meeting those targets, it will be an agreement where we can just shut the agreement could end, based on the fact that it's not meeting certain criteria that we've got there. So I'm not thinking what a criteria is, but if it's a performance-related criteria for whatever it is that's being breached or whatever it is, then the whole idea is our performance improvements from it. So it's going to be a no-brainer saying why are we doing this with our productivity going backwards?
Yeah.
So then we could just stop it there and then,
yep, and
head back to either the status quo or a 5-day week or whatever it is that we put in there as what we go back to once it happens along those lines.
Okay.
Right.
Also, Minnie was speaking about the council authorising you to engage a subject expert to undertake a feasibility study for the new medical centre. When we met with David Farley at the Malthouse, Troy and I had quite a conversation with his community advisor, Brendan Trott, and he did mention that one of his strengths is health, and I wondered whether he may be a valuable resource or contact, or he could point us in the right direction if he thinks we need further input. So that was just that comment.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him. Okay. I'll reach out to the Primary Health Network. I'll reach out to Rural Doctors Network.
Yep.
Somebody will be able to point me in the direction of somebody that's do that. Yeah.
And you said that all the user group agreements were in place.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get to see what the user group agreements are?
Oh, they're the same template of agreements that you had, but yes, right, that's quite easy. You can get you a copy without
okay,
about.
Just so that we can work out that our communities are all contributing as they should contribute to the use of our facilities.
Yes.
Yep.
I haven't done one yet.
They haven't,
No. So got stopped, I think, because Colleen was taking up all. We haven't had a meeting. We didn't have a meeting since last year, at the beginning, I think. But had a lot of changeovers as well now too, so probably a good idea to have another meeting.
Yep.
Okay. And when you spoke to the St John's Ambulance and they were thinking to put a proposal to us using the Norfolk Island model, did they tell you how much the Norfolk Island model
No.
is? No. Okay.
no.
All right.
That's a confidential agreement with the New South Wales government at this time. So, and it's up for review fairly soon. So
Okay.
I didn't press
Okay.
for a ballpark figure or anything else like that. I can work out you can work out your head sum of dollars or whatever it is that could be. You got 2 ambulances, which would be a capital cost, and then you got the operation of 1.5 staff.
Yep.
A bit of electricity, a bit of printer ribbons, and a bit of sort of a few band-aids or whatever else it is. A new D-food battery, all those consumables and things that they supply.
Well, I think, as soon as we get that back, if we look at community enabling services and whatever, I think this is a real case for attracting some sort of funding to help us get established, if that's the case.
Yep, and
Yeah.
they indicated that if it was to come to pass and we all had agreements, that they'd have conversations with New South Wales Ambulance about helping them get out the ambulances or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay.
Or we retiring New South Wales Ambulance that could be set up or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Or we go to Leo Franco and say, Leo, give us the base of your vehicle. You can have Leo Franco plastered all over this ambulance, but it was donated by you, and bang, 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 and that sort of stuff. There's lots of different ways that they've said that they've gone and done that. Like they showed me their one of their emergency response vehicles that just goes and sits and was deployed to one of the flood areas or whatever it was, and it's just it had the satellite Wi-Fi. It had absolutely everybody. Everybody was during the event was crowded around me behind there doing their internet banking and everything because they could get Wi-Fi and just all that stuff. But it all had other things that was kitted out, and it was their command centre for the ambulances they had that were working the scenes and things like that. So and that had Telstra plastered all over it. It had every single person that ever, and St John's Ambulance was prominent, but it had everybody that put in for it, that paid for it on their ambulance. So they're not scared of promotion, right? Neither should we be.
Thank you, John, for that dogged determination to achieve this outcome that we've been struggling for 18 years since I've been on council. So thank you for keeping it in mind and keep pressing for the outcomes for our community. It's well appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, I think Councillor Major.
Yeah, a couple of things. So in regards to funding the preschool, can we consider, we bought 2 blocks, we're only going to use 1.
Yep.
Can we consider selling the first one?
Yep.
Right.
No problem. Yeah,
Great.
I'll
So is that?
I'll bring a report to the council next meeting to get the authorisation to sell it, and then it's just
that one block, wasn't that a
swap. Yeah,
swap?
yeah, but it's
But it still costs, so we go 2 blocks.
Yeah.
So it's still got a value.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's very good, John.
Yeah.
The 4-day working
council
week.
says yes to that request, and I'll put it on the market.
Yeah.
Very much.
Well, what are we going to do with it?
That's okay.
The point is that we are lacking in certain facilities, and one of that is the interim aged care debate that we're having in regards to keeping our elder community members in town for longer. So that is one opportunity there that block could be useful into the future, but all determines on the appetite of the council at the time.
And I actually saw that as we've heard from one of the renewable developers that are looking for accommodation and things like that, that block could be an ideal place for 6 one-bedroom things that come in that the renewable energy could use while they're building their site, and they leave it as a legacy for six LD units or something like that at the end of the day. So maybe something along those lines could be a place or something that it could be, because they're all in their gophers. They can get down to town quite easily. They can get to the pub. They can get to the pub. They can get to Gumview all safely on that side of the road, not being on the other side of the highway as well. So that's a thought that I had for the master plan type thing of that area, right? And it's always good to have elderly beside the kids. Right? They can go over and have a cup of tea with the kids every day and get to learn things. But yes, I could put a report up, Councillor Major.
Got a couple of things, lines of thinking out there, which is all great.
Yeah.
Any further?
Yeah, just in regards to 4-day working week. So in conversations that I've had, and I did note it is in your report about the offices and having rotating staff, potentially keep it open 5 days a week.
Yeah.
That's certainly some feedback that I got, is that people would like the office open. And I also understood from previous conversations where some staff didn't want to do the longer days as both parents work. So this may be an opportunity for them to fit in with their needs. So, might give a bit of flexibility for staff. So, open that as a discussion point. Whether anyone else had that feedback or I don't know.
Yeah. So just to keep 3 offices open, with 3 part-time people only working on Fridays, it's less than a full-time wage to do that. But then you've got to see that the community needs to be aware that they can't come into the office and ask for the planning department or the engineering department or anything else like that, because they won't be there.
But they can drop stuff off.
They can drop stuff off, they can pick stuff off, they can pay their rates, they can lodge a complaint, they can do all those sorts of things. Yep.
Use the library.
And use the library in both Darlington Point and Collyambley, just not here in Jerilderie, unless we set the library up on the Friday to be the main office for the council, and the library's open on the Friday.
So, look, I'd like to see that happen, especially with the libraries. I didn't realise. I thought they were a little bit like the early learning centres. I thought they were excluded and they're going to open.
But it wouldn't matter if you had someone step up to say, I volunteer to my time to open up the library on Friday.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, that would be half a dozen people. But
Yeah.
so there's always that opportunity to have volunteers step in.
Volunteers, yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
But that can be done as all part of the thing.
I actually thought the libraries were exempt from it, like the evidence in.
Libraries, depots and offices.
But the good news is the library have longer hours opened. Yeah.
Well, I have now. They used to have an hour a week.
Keep going across the page. The medical centre, I really agree to get someone else in. Obviously, the issues that Edward River having with their medical centre, so they obviously. So I think they are very hard things to get.
And their model is yeah. So they had them. They're still pursuing down the model, and of course, to get somebody like that, getting a big corporate that has got 60 of these centres around the traps, and if their centre in Shepparton needs a doctor, it'll take precedence over Jerilderie all the time, every single time, right? And I think that's what might have been happening elsewhere. But those other ones, they're just, they're recruiting, but there's always a turnover in those big corporates.
So fully support that, and I just think it's a real win-win with the solar savings. If we can save 21,000, certainly better than the money sitting in the bank.
Yeah.
It's good.
Any further comment? Somebody like to move, please. Moved Councillor Strong, seconded Councillor Murphy. And the recommendations will read that the information contained in the General Manager's monthly report be noted, and Council 1. Determine the budget for the Darlington Point Preschool and Long Day Care Facility to be $4,075,373.06, which is a fascinating number, utilising unallocated section 7.12 funds and the identified BEX funds for the Darlington Point Preschool and Long Day Care Facility project, with the cash flow being underwritten by the long service leave and annual leave provisions internal reserve, the balance to be funded from renewable energy money as and when it is received. We've got 2 ones. 2, proceed to developing an agreement reflecting the 4-day week, being Monday to Thursday. That this agreement be for a period of 15 months in duration to allow for a review after 12 months. The review will take into consideration the performance measures contained within the agreement, a vote by staff and a vote by the elected representatives to see if the 4-day week continues past the 15-month agreement period. 3, authorise the General Manager to engage a subject expert to undertake a feasibility study of the new Murrumbidgee Medical Centre. And 4, authorise the General Manager to seek quotations for the supply and installation of a solar BESS system to reduce the electricity cost at the Murrumbidgee office or library, utilising the energy savings reserve. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 2, please.
That's me. Yes, proposal to cease provision of building certification services. Our former director of planning and infrastructure, Gary Stoll, was an A1 certified builders surveyor, the only member on staff with that qualification. We currently have 1 staff member pursuing the accreditation to get to the A4 level, which allows for the staff member to be able to do inspections, but not to approve the drawings or anything else like that. We need to be an A3 certified, and that is only for Class 1 and Class 10 buildings, which is sheds and homes. And we have 2 other staff members who are willing to put their hand up and get the qualifications they need. Part of the qualifications to be able to do the certification is a number of hours that they have to attain in actually doing the hands-on work, which means that we would be sending them off to other places where this work happens so they can get their experience and their hours up so they can get their A3 accreditation and be able to get that back. I'm figuring 18 months. We could be in a position to have, if not 1, possibly 3 staff members trained to be able to do that assessment in the organisation for Class 1 and Class 10 buildings, which is 95% of our work anyway. Along those lines, and then we'd still be in a position that this would come back and just sort of say that we continue to do Class 1 and 10, but not the other classes of buildings because we just don't have the expertise to do it. And a lot of those are huge buildings anyway, so private certified should be able to do that without a shadow of a doubt. There's other conversations that we are also looking at this stage is how do we get a building certifier in the interim to be able to ensure that we are not missing out on development in our area, primarily because of costs. So there's a few scenarios that we're looking at, and we'll approach some building certifiers to see if they would be willing to do such a thing. That will happen over the next few weeks. The gaps are being filled. We've got agreements with Edward River Council to fill some gaps. We've had conversations with the former director, Gary Stoll, to see if he can help us while he's help us out. And so those conversations are going on as well at this point in time. But right at this moment, any DAs or anything that we are doing, we are making the applicant aware that we are unable to do the building certification for them, give them a construction certificate, but we're giving them a list of all the private certifiers around that can be. But the problem with that is that some of those costs may be exorbitant. We're not quite sure. So we're trying on a few things to cover ourselves. I'm putting this recommendation forward at this stage, but we'll still work on it. And as soon as we're in the ability to be able to open up and do those services, we'll do that immediately. We'll report back to council.
Any questions of John, please?
So the recommendation we've got here, none of what we're doing is none of that. This is just sort of interim to get us through.
This is interim. So there's some other things. There may be some temp staff out there that want to come over here for a couple of months or whatever it is. We'll look at all of those things, right, to see what we can achieve in that space. But the profession, there's everybody in local government, virtually everybody is screaming for stuff. Screaming for stuff. So it's just one of those things.
So I'm taking from this report is that we have a few ways forward, and operational staff will keep council informed as to who's working space and how we're still managing to keep our communities informed when they approach us for different things. So I'm imagining at our next council we will have some information that will come to us to say this is what's happening in this space, and it appears to be servicing our community's needs. And if council have any issues with that, if we feel that things are not, if we get feedback that things are not as moving smoothly, then we can bring that to the attention of the staff. Okay. Are there any further questions or comments? If not, would somebody like to move up?
No, just like to say thanks, John. That's explained really well. And as we know, the planning assessment and their processes are ever evolving, and just never know what's going to happen. But thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Would somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Major, seconded Councillor Churland. Recommendation will be the council, 1, please to provide building certification services effective from 1 August 2020. 2, continue to fulfil all statutory planning, compliance, enforcement and regulatory duties. 3, implement a transition plan for existing certification matters. 4, develop community information materials directing applicants to register private certifiers. And 5, advise New South Wales Building Commission and stakeholders of the petition. Recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Okay. Thank you. Item 3, please.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor. Yeah, essentially, currently, Council have no dedicated policy for private infrastructure. We're governed by a lot of legislative framework that we want to tidy up into one central location so that people can use it to see exactly what goes on, what frameworks are involved, costings, things like that. So just seeking Council's endorsement to draft into the public exhibition for feedback and then bring it back to Council for consideration and adoption at the future meeting.
Thank you, Zach. Are there any questions of Zach regarding this draft policy? Councillor Mooney.
A couple of suggestions and questions. So the first one is in your scope. You talk about installation, operation, and maintenance of private infrastructure within roads, etc. You talk about bridges, rail infrastructure. I think irrigation channels would be pretty pertinent to put in there to include, because obviously that's the area we're in. And rather railway, we don't have a lot of railway, but so you talk about the annual occupation charge. Do we have that in our fees and charges currently? So we'd have to implement that. Yeah.
So to change our fees and charges, about to put a submission, but I think as soon as it's like, you'll be pretty happy that the covered it now.
Yeah.
We got an amount in the call.
No, there's no amount, nothing.
So we may have to put that in.
Yep. So that happened at the same time. Yep. Non-compliant. Now, is there an opportunity for a moratorium, or what happens if someone's already done it, like pre this policy?
We won't charge retrospective in the policy.
What about make them rip it out? Because that's what non-compliant on 5.8. Installation of private infrastructure in the road reserve without approval does not create any entitlement. So this is what you've written in it. Yeah. Entitlement to a retrospective permit, license, or any other approval, consent, or property right. So are we really going to stick to that?
If somebody didn't have a 138 certificate to be able to do that now, we have the ability to rip that out now.
So so we're not going to do it
on the road reserve without authority, then that's it. Yeah. If we can remember conversations we had around Bed Covered Avenue and what had a certificate, what didn't have a certificate, crossovers and anything else like that. We just at the end of the day come to the conclusion that we could find half, but that didn't mean the other half didn't have it either. So we just said, okay, let's assume that they all have permission to do it. Right?
So there is
Well, we have in Ambly where some farmers have gone to the extent of almost going to the roadway with their farm roads and
I was going to dog farmers in, but that's where I was thinking.
Yeah. Well, I know, because it's an issue for the other
Because
farmers
it's an issue.
a lot of the time.
Oh, no.
Because, well, if you've got livestock and your next door neighbour doesn't have livestock and they've taken their roadworks almost to the road and you're moving stock between one and the other and they've got no roads and it's just clear open slather into their property. It's an issue for, I know that it's an issue for some of our ratepayers.
So, or is this just covering in town?
No, it's covering. So what you said sort of speaks to the need for a centralised policy to be transparent with everyone across the board.
Yeah.
What we can do and what we can't do. At the moment, there's a lot of different legislation that sort of floats around and gets convoluted. And then, so this would tie everything together. And then,
Oh no, see a need for it. You know.
So one of the
Good, but I'm just
major things, if we can remember, one of the renewable energy companies was telling us about they're going to put a transmission line down one of our roads, and we were needing to put barriers on our road to stop them from running there. And my biggest fear was the liability and the maintenance of everything of those. So we need this. This is where I saw this as saying, right, okay, renewable energy company, council says, yes, you can put those barriers there, but they're yours forever and a day, right? When the power line comes down, these get ripped up and all of that, and the annual charge for you based on how we're going to do it per metre of rail or whatever it is on one thing, right? Because it costs us at the end of the day as well to do that. So that's where I saw the big one. But if you can see that there's some unintended consequences in some of those things, then we can amend the policy and remove some of those things later on. Might be some things I think that's just smart that's happened.
Yeah.
Right. So
well said, John. That's what I was really getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unintended and consequences.
Okay, are there any further questions of Zach? Would somebody like to move, please? Councillor Curfew, seconded Councillor Major, and the recommendation will be the council endorse a draft private infrastructure and road reserve policy and place on exhibition seeking community comments. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 4, please.
Thanks again.
Just be prepared, Zach, at the end of this for the round of applause from absolutely everybody. Right.
Say, thanks, Councillor McRae. So this one, obviously, the water filtration plant in Murrumbidgee, ongoing thing. I know it's been in a lot of council meetings. Essentially, what we want to do here is go to public exhibition, transparency of potential increased costings for a new filtration plant. We're not saying that that's going to happen, but it's just the transparency side of it to let people know that it is a possibility. That then cuts through some,
Gateways.
yeah, I wasn't going to say that, I was going to say bureaucracy. And then we can move forward, because I think what's happened in the past is we've sort of put the cart before the horse with some of the things that we've done setting up for the filtration plant. So to move through, we have to go show that we've gone to public exhibition and gone to community consultation through that way. And then we can move on to the next step, which is then like a more detailed concept plan. And that's when we open ourselves up to get some funding, because we've got a more detailed plan. So essentially this one here is option 7. There was nine studies done, or 9 possibilities for different plans. This one here is the one that has the smallest footprint by 50%, delivers the same treated water outcome, represents current industry best practice, and provides more compact layout for the actual footprint that it leaves. And then, yeah, placing it on preferred on public exhibition allows the community to provide feedback based on a few things, and satisfies the safe and secure water program for the next step, for the next gateway. Is there any questions?
Councillor Curfew.
Yeah, I have one question. The plant that's under suggestion, is that what kind of volume output in compared to the current state of events do we have?
It can vary. So
Is the capacity that we're putting in enough to future-proof our community of drill?
yes, that's what there's a study. There's an 111-page
Yeah,
document.
I'm not going to read the study.
No.
So you would say the implementation of this asset will be enough to service drill rigs needs into the future?
Well, it was considered even for this particular plant that Geraldry's population could double, like almost double with the renewables. So that was considered during the design of this plant, and that would cover that. So unless Geraldry's population is going to quadruple or increase tenfold, I can't see that.
That's excellent feedback. We know that what we're putting in place is going to service our community long into the future. The second question is the option 7. Is there a comparative technology in other parts of New South Wales, or is this?
Yes.
It is.
Yep.
So we're not reinventing the wheel, we're just introducing something that's worked somewhere else, laying into our community that's really hit the ground running with it. So
I think there's one in Barham.
right.
Barham might be the closest. But yeah, they're all over New South Wales.
Right,
So
so that's another real good positive. We're not, pulling something out of the air. It's already been tested. So no, thank you very much. Well done.
So Zach, you did mention that we would have to seek extra funding for the project. So can you just clearly state, please, how much money we do have and how much money we will need?
So I'll take off the top of my head. There is $3 million in safe and secure water.
Yep.
Right, which they will attribute to this fund. Right, the $6.43 million or whatever it is that's there, that's got a 30% contingency. So it could be anywhere between 5.1 and 6.5 million at the end of the day. Our water fund off the top of my head, got about $3.6 million in it. It's in the reserve still. So that would cover the balance between that safe and secure water and that. As we've spoken about before, there's $1.5 billion in safe and secure water at Darlington Point. We've never utilised that. We used other grant funds for Darlington Point. So we would be putting a case to ask them to roll that 1.5 in with $3 million. Have at least $4.5 million in safe and secure water, and then the rest could be backed by reserve quite easily with what we've got.
The water reserve, the latest estimate was 5.6 million.
5.6 million at that, so we can nearly pay for the fund, but we won't do that.
So I guess when we go to public consultation, a really important thing to take to our community is the fact that we actually have the money.
Yeah.
Because people will look at the projected cost of this project and they'll say, where the hell are we going to get all that money from? And we have to be able to tell them quite clearly where we get the money from. So, but I guess we need to, you spoke, Zach, to the process from here on in. So how long do we envisage that will take?
So after the community consultation,
Yeah.
or the public exhibition,
Yeah.
not long at all, like within that next month, we could tick on to the next step.
Yeah.
And
We
then
would.
Go from there. So essentially this,
Not a gate.
We've got a date of 1 July 2027 where we want this to be
Yeah,
operational.
and I think we need to clearly articulate that also in the public exhibition, because we've been talking about this. It's a bit like getting up every morning saying your prayers. We've been talking about this for a very long time, and people go, it'll never happen, and that's going to fail, and So I think for community confidence and a tick for our operational staff that have been working in this space so diligently, with little to no cooperation from the bureaucracy, I think we need to promote it as a win, and the fact that this is the expected timeline for delivering it. So we don't promote what we do very well, we just do it. So I think this is a real opportunity to garner community confidence. So, but we can only do that if we give them the information that will generate that level of confidence. That's just.
I think a date is being very generous because we've still got to deal with the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So, to be fair, a year would be good, but
Well, this decade would be good because
the bureaucracy, we still got to get through the bureaucracy and the gates and everything. And
And the reason
no
the
faith.
reason I would say that is that we need to have a lot of our essential infrastructure, our roads, our water, and everything else like that, ready for the renewable tsunami. And all of our roads and everything in transport is working on the 1st of July 2027. We need water for the 1st of July 2027 for their camps, at the renewable energies and things like that. So that's why we've put it there. And as long as we remind the bureaucracy that the date is for the enabling infrastructure, for the renewable tsunami, we can just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing.
It's actually a real opportunity to hold them accountable for a timeline. Yeah, which we haven't really had today.
It's a more strategic timeline to put pressure on people who need to be put pressure on. Understood? Yeah, thank you.
Are there any further questions? Councillor Major.
No question, just maybe a suggestion. So the report from New South Wales Public Works, it's an excellent document that does both sewer and water. I just think it'd be valuable if in a workshop or something you could take us through it, Zach, like step us through it a little bit, because and it also does future financial modelling, so we can understand, how much we need in 10 years' time, 20 years' time. But I think it's just a good document. If you could step us through it when we're talking about this renewable energy money, we maybe can prioritise it if we have a better understanding of this report. But that good stuff. It's really good because it's really set it out. Look, I don't know if you've stress tested what they've sent us, but it's certainly set a clear pathway forward for all our towns, water and sewer.
Yeah.
Like sewer's a big one in there as well. So I think it'd be good if we have a really good understanding of it.
I'm going to condense that 111 pages into about 13.
Yeah.
So that might be a bit, it's got the financial side of it and then the sort of the looking forward future side of it, what they're expecting. Because obviously a lot of it's estimated. It's just because, like Councillor Kirby asked about, if there's many of these in the state, so they've got a bit of historical evidence of how they operate and what they look like. So they've probably just thrown that blanket over this council to say this is sort of a projected cost and maintenance.
That's why I asked for your stress test, because there is a recommendation in there if we get no grants that our actual, I think it's water fees, one of them, but it's got to go up to 870 and we're well below that in our fees and charges.
Councillor McRae just asked if we could have a 13-page report. My understanding is that 13 pages is what's being condensed for the community consultation. Is that right?
Yep.
So we've got it there.
Yep.
So yes, anybody can have that.
Well, can you please email it to us, please? Thank you.
Good stuff.
Any further questions? Could I ask for move and second? Please. Move Councillor Murphy, second Councillor Storm. And the recommendation will read the council endorse option 7, the conventional clarification and media filtration using a circular clarifier as the preferred option for community water treatment upgrade. Place the preferred option and supporting options assessment on public exhibition for a period of 28 days and receive a further report following the exhibition period detailing submissions received and a recommendation on adoption of the preferred option to progress through concept and detailed design. A lot of words, but I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. And I meant what I said before. I take my hat off to the staff who have got us to this point, because when at the end of my time, this will be right at the top of the list of level administration in, being able to address and get some real progress in this space. And it was not our staff that were the problem. It was bureaucracy. So without wishing to cane the bureaucracy any further, it's a really good position that we find ourselves in, and it's a real pat on the back. So thank you very much to the staff that have made it happen. Thank you. Okay. Item number 5, please.
Again,
That's you.
baptism of fire. So the meeting from the traffic forum that we held last week or the week before. So there was some. We'll just go through some of the agenda items.
That'd be really good.
Yep. So the business horizon 2, Councillor McRae.
It's here. The reports to the convener.
Yes. So number 1, the Kingfisher School Crossing, which was brought up in a council workshop. We spoke about that in the traffic forum, and Greg Moynihan from Transport agreed that the school's crossing isn't in the best spot because you've got Falcon Road or Falcon Lane right there. So there's no objection from Transport, none from New South Wales Police. If we move it and we put in a more compliant zebra crossing with school crossing, so that'll be a 24-hour zebra crossing, and obviously just school crossing during school times, but it'll be integrated as one area. So it's just a more central thing. Justin and I and Trevor met there on site. We had a look at some places to put it. So I'll do 2 reports for the next workshop that council can look at and sort of put that to potentially community consultation as well to see where the best place that will be. So that's in the works. The next one is the peak day out. So that's an ongoing thing. There's no issue there. They had to update public liability and an ROL, like a road occupancy license, prior to the event, which never been an issue there in the past. And then the Darlington Point Park signage, so the new sign that I think Eden has had a hand in developing. So there was no objection from Transport, none from New South Wales Police. So that's got the go-ahead to be installed when they're ready.
Okay. And the general business act, the general business under that just, we spoke about, this recurrent issue of the Kidman Way Sturt Highway intersection and how dark it is and how it's difficult enough to navigate when you're very aware of it, but it's yeah, we need to continue to seriously advocate in that space. And being one of the identified intersections that has attracted some funding, we advocated to have some really significant lighting there also, not just an upgrade to the road widths.
John and I spoke with people from Transport about that too, during the design phase to delineate it with street lighting.
Yeah.
And that intersection for the renewables, it's going to be a two-way. When I say the jewellery, the intersection here at Carnago and the one at the Newell and Kidman is virtually only everything coming from the south heading north. This intersection, it's going from the south heading north, and it's going from the west heading east. So its footprint's going to be bigger. It's going to be widened out a lot more, but they still believe that the ability to put the lighting at that intersection. And we also asked for the other intersection as well, where the Kidman goes on to the into Darlington Point as well, proper understeered body. And we also asked for Transport to dust off the request of the assessment they did for pushing the 80-kilometre sign back to past the Hay Road or whatever it was, based on what this new intersection will look like and whether it deserves a rethink of the speed zone at that stage. If they've got this, because I pointed out, if you've got a 110 metre blade trying to come through there, should the 80 sign be pushed back out further east, so that they're at least sitting at 80 before they plan to do it, not 100, 110, things like that. So that's all been part of what we've asked.
There was someone this morning at that corner, Kidman and Sturt, spraying something on the road. I don't know. And after having seen this,
New South Wales government.
yeah, positive maybe.
Well, lots of the line markings were
Over.
Yeah.
And it was as we were turning on to the Kidman to come out towards College Brewery, and he was there spraying yellow or something. We just thought that was a positive thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that's
Sorry?
that'll be their preliminary geotech works that they're doing. So at the meeting with Southwest Reservoir Forum, Transport for New South Wales gave us an update, and where they're at the moment is, like I said, doing their preliminary geotech work. So those little markings is probably noting I don't know, failures where infrastructure may or may not be. So
I mean, no, because when you go out through Narandra out towards that, I think it's the mill, they have these huge lights, lights going down to Ganmain or Madong, and you think, well, here we are, two major and a minor highway meeting, and there's nothing.
Well, but I think that message has been conveyed, Judy, at many tables.
Yeah.
So renewable energy tables, Transport for New South Wales tables, and we continue to advocate for it. So hopefully we'll get some positive action in that place.
Well, the thing is, it's going to be ready by 1st of July next year. That's
what they tell us. So
yeah, well, that was positive.
So the preliminary designs for the intersections like the Newell and the Kidman, they're planning it to be 200 millimetres of deep lift asphalt, which is fantastic. Stabilised base underneath that, so that will last a long time. We're still talking with them because their initial design that they showed us, They tried to straighten up the road to tee it a little bit more, but it needs to happen a lot more. So we're constantly sort of giving that feedback at the back to make sure that that happens all the time. The intersection in town here will encroach onto the park, Elliott Park, where we put up our banners for what's on the races or whatever it is. It's going to be as back as far as that goes. Those two light poles have to be relocated from there, and it's a lift cement run. So it's well, what they're planning to do is just make that all concrete through there, and that's where the OSMs travel on that going through the rest of the intersection. I don't know whether that will be high lift asphalt or not or anything, but that's what they're major saying, that that's how they'll take that corner, because they're going north, right? And the Sturton and the Kidman will be another 200 mil deep lift asphalt for there.
Any further questions? If not, would somebody like to move that the Murrumbidgee Traffic Committee meeting report? Move Councillor Chervin, seconded Councillor Saxon. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 6, please.
Item number 6 is the monthly investment report for June 2026. Nothing particularly unusual to report. Everything was invested in compliance with the relevant regulation and council's policies. There's at the end of the month, there was just over $29 million invested. There was a slight underperformance against benchmark for the month, but that's basically just a timing issue, obviously with interest rates going up, and we have investments invested for longer periods than the 90 days of benchmark cover. So that's what's caused that. That should sort of average out over the long run. So just recommending that council note for the report.
Okay, are there any questions of Caitlin?
I'd like to say it is a easy to read report. The shading in the background's really, for all categories. It's, you've got it pretty well nailed in some of the returns we're locking in for now. So we outdone on that pretty quickly. All good.
Okay, thank you, Council Manager. Any further comment? If not, would somebody like to move to Council Manager, seconded Councillor, and the recommendation will read: the council notes monthly investment reports identifying more money council has invested under section 625 of the Local Government Act of 1993. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Thank you. Item number 7, please.
Yeah, I think that's just the list of DAs that have been approved this month. So all these applications went out to public exhibition. No objections were received. I'll go through a couple of applications. The first one there for the rooftop, they had unauthorised works for their rural workers accommodation camp. That was brought to our attention some time ago now, and through negotiations with the landowner and their planning consultant, they finally put in the DA. So what we've had to do is tie the accommodation camp with the DA for the cotton gin. So they will now have facilities to provide accommodation, I think, for 50 persons. Second application is just for a dual occupancy here at the rural group. The 14 by 14 open shed, that's an existing their boarding and training facility for training of horses. 120 Mahonga Street, that was the conversion of a shed into a secondary dwelling. With those sorts of applications, there's they're not as straightforward. From an assessment point of view, they are relatively straightforward applications. However, there's a degree of technical aspects to the DAs, and particularly in meeting BCA requirements, going from a class 10A structure to a class 1A structure. there's a lot to do with just the installation of building, what have you. Again, no objection to that. A shed at Darlington Point for the collection of veteran vehicles. Our DA for the outdoor additions in the library at Darlington Point, that went on exhibition for 28 days and there were no submissions to that. And then the last one was another unusual application in that it relied on existing use rights. Existing use rights are where there have been approvals in the past and the current zoning makes it prohibited development. So the regulations allow that to happen. So this was approved through those provisions. What I will say, like I said, not always is council record keeping perfect, but this one here, when we did the search and we found a previous building approval, that made it so much easier. So again, that one was advertised as well because simply relied on existing use rights.
Thank you. Steve, are there any questions of Steve?
That's quick one. Is there any ramifications for the workers' accommodation without any approval?
There's conditions on consent that they have to get building information certificate for the existing development, and they had to submit with the DA engineering certification, which would have been the type of information we would have asked for. These are essentially DOMs. So, like I said, the prefab type things and what have you. Other parts of that application, which I've got to mention, is they are demolishing the existing house that is there and building a proper recreation facility, kitchen facility to accommodate, to provide for their work. What I will say, the submission that came to that, which brought it to council's attention, was from a disgruntled employee who apparently was starting fights. He got punted and then he just raised issues with the accommodation and what have you. Look, but from our point of view, that wasn't a bad outcome because we now know it's there. We've looked at it, we've endorsed it. So if there's, heaven forbid, an issue, that they can get their insurances sorted out.
And the good news is this, for the development, they will follow due process. Yeah, this is good. Okay.
A quick question about secondary dwellings. Is there any impact on the sewer charge when it comes to having a secondary dwelling? Like, do we have a second sewer charge, or is that okay and there's no other cost brought on a rates notice?
That I can't answer off the top of my head. However, this shed was one that was approved with your mud. It had a toilet and wash basin there, so it was already hooked up to the sewer. Obviously, when you're making it permanently occupied, the water will increase, yes.
Right, because we have like caravans on trailers, which are used as dwellings that we've had in the past, and then they connect them to the sewer. Is there any additional charge on their rate notice for that multiple connection?
So not that I'm aware of. I can't answer that question.
I don't believe that's in our fees and charges.
I'm just having a look at the.
Caitlin's trying to have a look. I don't think it
Well,
is.
you can provide me that feedback after the meeting if you like. So can you take that on notice and just let me know? Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Any further questions? Right. So would somebody like to move, please, that the development applications with the general delegation be noted? Somebody like to move Councillor Curfew, seconded Councillor Peake. And the recommendation will read that the information contained in the development applications approved under delegation, June 2026, report be noted. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Right, we'll move to item 8. So we need to move into confidential. So would somebody?
Yep.
Okay, item number 8, the tender supply registration delivery of council vehicles. Moved Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Curfew, and the recommendation will read that one council endorsed recommendation to accept the tenders from Fitting Motors Proprietary Limited, Rio Franco Motors, Blackrocks Ford and Leeton Toyota for the purchase of multiple vehicles for council fleet totaling $345,920.57, excluding GST, and to the contract documents and any other associated documents be executed on behalf of the council in accordance with clause 165 of the local government regulation by the general manager as the principal's representative. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you.
And this the lesson.
Thank you, Linesman. Thank you, Douglas. The end.